Hello. Greetings, everyone. Welcome to All Things Data, where we explore the power of data science, analytics, and beyond. I welcome once again to yet another episode. I'm excited for today's episode because we are looking at a very crucial yet often overlooked aspect of data science, which is storytelling. Okay, it's important for us to understand what storytelling is in data science before we can even think of building projects, because we are just an inch away from starting with building our projects. So we have to understand what storytelling is. Please watch the video until the end, and if you happen to not understand anything, you know the drill. You have to let me know in the comment section, and you can even go and do a lot of research around storytelling on other platforms such as Google, even here on YouTube. All right, there are many platforms I believe that can teach on storytelling, and I want us to also understand it. So what will we get to do? We will have to look, or rather cover, how to understand our audience, how to structure our story, how to use visuals effectively. All right, and lastly, we're gonna end with calling our audience to action that will motivate them to change. All right, so yeah, all that will be done today. And please remember to subscribe, to like, to comment, so that our community grows. All right, so yeah, come, let's jump into it and get started. All right, hello guys, welcome to yet another episode. As I said in our introduction, that today we are looking at storytelling. Okay, so yeah, let's get started with storytelling in data. Okay, and we're just gonna look at why storytelling matters in data science. Let's start there. Why does it matter? Okay, so data is very powerful, but without a story, it's hard to make an impact. All right, remember that. So effective storytelling transforms our numbers into meaningful insights that drive better decisions. Okay, that's why storytelling matters in data science. Okay, so in this video, I'll be guiding you guys through the steps to turn our raw data into a compelling narrative. And the first thing that we are going to be we're looking at understanding our audience. All right. So with understanding our audience, the first thing we're going to look at is identifying the audience. What do I mean by identifying your audience? Remember that before you start analyzing the data, always ask yourself, who am I presenting to? Are they business leaders? Are they your fellow data scientists? Or lastly, are they just the general audience? Okay, so here's the thing. Let's look at this example. If you are presenting to a CEO, you might have to present a high type of level insights. Okay, you might give them high level insights. And then if you are presenting to your fellow data scientist, right, you may just need technical details. It won't be the same as presenting for the CEO or the general audience. All right, so yeah, always identify your audience. And the next thing we're going to look at is to define your audience needs. Okay, always define your audience needs and understand your audience needs. Okay, so you have to ask your questions that, what questions does your audience need answers to? All right, so you have to align your analysis to solve specific problems that they care about. Okay, so if they're given you a data set or a data, trying to have you as a data scientist to find certain solutions from the data, you as a data scientist, you have to understand it and make sure that you tailor that data in a way that it will answer their questions. All right, so yeah, looking at the third one. Right? Looking at the third one, we are setting the right tone. What do I mean by setting the right tone? Use simplest English as ever, especially looking at your different audience. Okay, so here's the thing, for non technical audiences, don't be too technical. Just use the most simplest English that you can use. All right, but if you are presenting to your fellow technical people, your data scientists, maybe your software developers or whoever, but they are technical, you can use as much as technical language as you can. It doesn't really need to have to be the simplest English. Okay. So always make sure that you adapt your communication styles to ensure that your message resonates with your audience. Okay. And here's at the tip always. Make sure that you tailor your story to address the needs of your audience directly. Okay. Make sure that you do it. So, looking at the second point of storytelling in data science, we are looking at structuring your data story. All right, structuring your data story. And just like any good story that you may be watching on TV, wherever, be it Netflix, that story, okay, it has got a good structure. So is our data. So a data narrative or data story has a structure. All right. So, yep, let's look at what we have here. All right. We have got the data story arc. The data story arc, it has got the hook, right? It has got the rising action, the climax, and things like that. All right. So let's get into it. On the hook, right? On the hook, this is where you are asking a question. You are starting with the question. All right. So your question has to be an interesting data point, okay, or a problem statement that grabs attention. Let's look at. Let me give you this example. Let's look at this example. So let's say you are looking at the sales data for an e-commerce company that you have to present on the findings of that data set. Your question could be something like, our sales in the fourth quarter outperformed expectations, but there's a twist. Let's explore why. Okay? Now, people, when thinking that there's a twist, then exploring why, right? It's giving you a leg to stand on, and it's grabbing your audience attention for them to listen further and to also be interested in finding out your findings through your data set that you were working on. All right. So that is the book. Now going to the second point, we are looking at the rising action. Okay. On the rising action, you are presenting the data and the analysis. The analysis that you did through your data. Maybe it's statistical analysis, your visualizations, all right, things like that. You have to do this. And what is happening here is that you are building up the key insights. Some of the key insights that you found in your data, you are presenting them. And make sure to guide your audience step by step. Don't be all over the place. Make sure that your audience is receiving every word and every key point step by step. All right. So yeah, and the other one, we are looking at the climax. At the climax, here you are highlighting your most compelling insight. All right. So here it's the aha moment where you are finally solving the problem, finally telling them what the whole point of taking through the hook and the rising action was about. Like, aha, we got it. This is what the data is all about. And these are our findings. All right. So yeah, make sure that all these things you do. All right. And the next point being the resolution. On the resolution, you are actually discussing the implication, okay? The implications that have got to do with your data. you discuss them on the resolution. All right. So here you are discussing the implication that comes with your findings, what you have found, and are there any other ways that you could have done better to make even your findings even perfect or things like that. This is where you have to be honest with your data as well. If it was biased, this is the part where you make sure that all those things you say them, the implications and the findings of your data. Okay. And lastly, the call to action. The call to action is actually ending your presentation with a recommendation. All right. Here you are giving your audience the next step after the findings. Are you giving them solutions? Are there certain things that you're recommending? Can they improve somewhere? Like what is it that you want them to improve on? Okay, so now looking at the third point of storytelling, we are looking at visualizing your data. This is important. Like most of the times, as a data scientist, you will have to visualize your data. Um, I feel like data science is mostly structured around visualizing your data because people are trying to find insights from your data, and most of the time, insights are presented through visuals. Okay, so number one of it is choosing the right visuals. Okay, because remember, the data visualization can make or break your story. So choose your visuals appropriately. Choose the right chart types for each data point that you are trying to present. So let's look at something like line graph. A line graph, you can use it to present or to showcase the trends over time. Okay, maybe you are trying to show trends that happened between the year 2018 and 2024. You use the line charts. And the second one, we're looking at bar charts. With bar charts, we are comparing quantities. Okay, so yeah, bar charts are not even that complicated. I'm sure most of you are really familiar with the using of bar charts. And lastly, for my presentation, we're looking at pie charts. For pie charts, you can use pie charts for showing proportions, mainly looking at, let's say, percentages between males and females. You can use those looking at pie charts. All right. Then the second one for visualizing your data, simplify and highlight. Okay, keep your visuals clean and easy to understand always. All right, so use your highlights, arrows, the color contrast to draw attention and to key data points. All right, they make your data and your storytelling and your presentation even better. Okay, so here's an example. If your audience needs to focus on a particular sales spike, highlight that section in a different color so they can be able to just pay attention to that particular point that you're trying to send forth to them. All right. So use arrows, use colors, make sure that your story is appealing and easy to understand to your audience. All right. So the third point, looking at dashboards versus static charts, right? So yeah, dashboards, guys. Dashboards are great for interactive exploration. Here, it's where you have maybe a variety of variables that you're trying to show on dashboards, and you're just trying to show how they interact with one another. All right. They are good for dashboards where you can just show the trends, how they differentiate with one another, or how one variable affects the other. All right, so that is done on dashboards. And with static charts, guys, static charts is just straight to the point. Okay, it's just for direct storytelling. It's better for clear. It's better for clear, direct storytelling. Okay, that is for static charts. And guys, I want to highlight something. I want you to look at this image here. I want you to look at the dashboards. Here, the dashboards are clean. They are clear. They are not as cluttered. Are not so. These are good dashboards. Okay, why I'm saying pay attention to it because of my fourth My fourth point on our visualizing our data is to avoid common pitfall. Don't clutter your visuals. Look at the image here. The image here shows that our visuals are not easy to understand, are not easy to read. They are cluttered all over. Okay. So make sure that you ask yourself a question that says, does the visual make your points clearer? If your visuals are not making any of your points clearer, then don't present those. Make sure you redo your work and understand it, and make sure that once you present to your audience, they are able to understand and your points are getting understood. All right. So, yeah, you do not want to find that your visuals are all over the place and are not easy to understand, and your audience can't even be on the same line or on the same understanding as you do. All right. So, yep. Now let's move right along to our fourth point in storytelling, which is add context to your data. Why is context critical, guys? Why is context critical in data? Here's the thing. So, data alone doesn't tell the whole story. Since I said even at the beginning that data is powerful, but without a story, so if it's not claimed, not proper, so data alone doesn't tell the whole story. It needs to have context for it to be understood. Okay. So you add context by explaining trends, you compare industry benchmarks, and you show historical data. All right. Showing trends, showing historical data, it makes your data to have context. Let me give you an example of what I mean by that. So, if you're working in a sales team, right, and you have to present something, so instead of just saying sales grew by 15% and you leave it there, make sure that you compare it with something. This is how you will add the context. You will go like, sales grew by 15%, outperforming the industry average of 5%. Now you are showing trends, benchmarks, and how the industry of sales with other companies that they are competitors, how it's performing and outperforming others, or how others are outperforming your company, right? That is how you add context to your data. All right. So the other point being to use anecdotes where applicable. What I mean by that is that if possible, always make sure that you complement your data with real life stories, okay, or anecdotes. And by that, you could be looking at the current affairs, so what is happening around the world, what is happening across the other country, what is happening in another company that is your competitor, all right? This helps by making sure that your insights are more relatable and memorable. So your audience will not forget what you were saying. All right. Because you made sure that you are making sure that you are using anecdotes and relating to other real life stories or the current affairs or anything that is surrounding. All right. So now let's go to our last point for storytelling in data science. Building a strong call to action. You are done now. You are done with presenting your data findings. Your audience is hooked. Okay. Your audience understood your points, right? Now this is the last part of it all. Building a strong call to action and with a purpose. All right. And your presentation with a purpose. And the other thing that you're going to be doing is, what do you want your audience to do after hearing your data story? What do you want them to do? Make your recommendations clear and actionable. Remember, somewhere I mentioned that you have to make recommendations and give solutions. Now, here, whereas you have given your recommendations and your solutions, make sure that they are applicable and they are actionable. The company or the audience is able to act on them and implement ways of working around the findings and making sure that the company grows or they fix whatever that they had to fix, depending on your findings. All right. So yeah, make sure that you do that. And it could be like we look at it this way, right? If your data shows a successful marketing campaign, right? You are done presenting and you're giving recommendations. And in your marketing campaign, your data shows that it was successful. What you can do as a call to strong action, what you can do is to suggest that they increase the budget of similar campaigns in the future so it continues growing, right? So yeah, now let's look at the other point, which is crafting your takeaways. All right. So here you just summarize your insights concisely. All right. So make sure that here you reinforce the main point of your story so it sticks with your audience. Reinforce it, it sticks in their head, and they know that they have to implement the solutions that you have given them, the recommendations. Make sure that you always repeat it, you reinforce it, and it sticks with them. Okay? So, yeah, I think I have come to the end of my video, my tutorial on storytelling. Tell me in the comment sections if there is any part that is intriguing to you that you liked. All right. So yeah, what did we cover? We covered how to structure and deliver a compelling data story that resonates with your audience. That's what we did. All right. And guys, as I said, I hope like you learned a lot from this. And now you know that as of next week, as we start with building our projects, we build our projects with an understanding of exactly what you want your audience to find from your data findings or who you are doing your findings for. I know that from our side, we are just doing it to know and understand how to build projects in the data science field. But I feel like it's also of the most importance that you understand storytelling as well, because at some point, if you have to have have gotten a job interview and you've given them your GitHub, and they're like, okay, we see that you did this project. Can you please explain to us your findings and things like that? It will make it easier for you to present your findings because you would have understood what you wanted to find from your data and what the findings were and what they were about and what your recommendations were, what was your conclusion and what was the solution, things like that. You might even be asked to just take them through your starting point of your data cleaning until the end of your data visualization if it ends there, or if you have built your machine learning models, you will also need to explain those kind of things. Now you will have to understand your storytelling because it has to make sense from the beginning to the end. All right. So yeah, hence I said next week we'll be starting with our projects. And I did mention the previous week that we will be doing the basics of Python. I'll be dropping the first video this Wednesday. And on that coming Sunday, the coming week, we are finally starting with building a project. Get your VS codes ready. I hope you are done with GitHub as well, all right? Because you're going to be pushing there. We are going to learn how to push and pull from GitHub within the coming weeks as well with the projects that we'll be building. All right. So yeah. I think I'm done and I hope you enjoyed the video. Do let me know if you did enjoy and give it a thumbs up. All right. Until the next time we meet, guys. All right. Yep.
we have come to the end of our tutorial, our lesson rather. So today we covered how to structure and deliver a compelling data story that resonates with your audience. All right, we learned so much. And guys, if you found this tutorial helpful, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe for more data science content. I'd really appreciate your subscribe, your comment, and your like. All right, so yeah, another thing, next week we are finally starting with our project, right? We are finally coding, and on Wednesday remember to catch up with me on the basics of Python. We're finally getting started with that as well. I'm super excited for them. Yeah. Oh, and guys, I really need those lessons for editing. I think I'll be using my December holidays to learn how to edit videos, because this can't keep happening. All right, so yeah, that will be all from me, guys. Bye.